Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel today. We've got something really exciting to talk about, especially if you're an Indiana Jones fan or you've recently finished Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. So, there's this brand new anniversary update that just dropped, and it's honestly a perfect little gift from Machine Games to the community. It came out today, October 10th, and it's called the Anniversary Update. Now, before you scroll away thinking it's just another small patch, let me tell you, this one actually adds some pretty cool new features and even an extended ending. Yeah, you heard that right. An extra ending to one of this year's most cinematic adventures. So let's talk about what's going on here. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle already gave us a solid story, with Harrison Ford's likeness and Troy Baker voicing Indy, all wrapped up in that classic Lucasfilm adventure tone. But as much as people loved the storytelling, there were a few comments floating around that the ending felt just a little abrupt. Not bad. Just one of those moments where you wish there was a little more closure. Something to fill in those emotional gaps after the credits roll. Well, apparently Machine Games heard that feedback loud and clear, because this anniversary update introduces a new Game Plus mode that doesn't just let you replay the game with all your upgrades, but also rewards you with an extended ending once you complete it again. And I gotta say, that's a pretty smart move. New Game Plus has become a sort of must-have feature in modern single-player games. It's one of those things that gives players a reason to come back, even after beating the story. If you've ever played games like God of War, Spider-Man, or Ghost of Tsushima, you know how satisfying it feels to carry your upgraded gear and skills into another run. So now, the Great Circle joins that list. What's really nice is that it's free. You don't have to buy a DLC or wait for a new expansion. Machine Games just rolled it out as part of their celebration. Now let's talk about what this new Game Plus actually does. When you start it, you're carrying over your progression from your first playthrough. That includes things like your unlocked adventure books and any unspent adventure points. That means you can immediately start reinvesting in Indy's skills right from the beginning. And it gives you that nice feeling of being this seasoned adventurer from the get-go. Some reports even mention that a few in-game currencies and collectibles transfer over as well, which makes exploring early levels faster and more satisfying. And of course, the biggest hook is that extended ending. Machine Games is being a little mysterious about what exactly it includes. They haven't spoiled it in their official post, but they've confirmed that once you beat New Game Plus, you'll see an extra scene after the credits. Now, if you've played through the base game, you know the ending leaves Indy's future kind of open, almost like a respectful nod to his legacy rather than a cliffhanger. So having this new bit of story is going to be really interesting. It might offer closure, or it could tease what's next for this version of Indy. Either way, it adds replay value and gives completionists something new to chase. But the update doesn't stop there. Machine Games also added a few nice extras that make the experience a little more flexible. One of them is the new Cairo outfit. It's that classic look inspired by the Raiders of the Lost Ark outfit, but without the jacket. Basically Indy in that light shirt, giving him that desert explorer vibe. And honestly, it fits perfectly. It's available for free as part of the update, and you can equip it in most missions, except for the ones where the game locks you into a specific costume for story reasons. It's one of those small touches that fans love because it feels authentic and nostalgic at the same time. And here's another cool feature that might not sound flashy at first, but it's super useful: the new voice language option. Before this patch, your voice and text language were tied together. You couldn't mix and match, but now you can. So if you want the game voiced in English, but the subtitles in another language or vice versa, you can do that. It's a small quality of life thing, but it's awesome for accessibility and for people who prefer playing in a specific combination of languages. On Xbox, they also added a new power saving mode, which is a subtle but nice update. It's aimed at reducing energy use when the game is paused or idle, which is becoming more common in modern console design. Plus, it shows that Machine Games isn't just focused on adding new content, but also improving the overall experience and performance for players. What's also worth noting is that this whole update ties into Machine Games celebrating their 15th anniversary. It's kind of wild when you think about it. 15 years since the studio started, and in that time, they've built a reputation for crafting narrative-driven action games that mix intensity with character depth. They're the team behind the Wolfenstein reboots, so it's cool to see how they've taken their skill for cinematic storytelling and applied it to a brand like Indiana Jones. And this update feels like a thank you to the fans for supporting their latest big adventure. The community's reaction so far has been pretty positive. Fans have been asking for New Game Plus since launch, and this is exactly the kind of feature that breathes new life into a game that already delivered a strong story campaign. A lot of players are also curious about how the extended ending changes things. Some think it might just be an added scene to wrap up Indy's emotional arc, while others are speculating that it could hint at future DLC or even a sequel. The cool part is, nobody knows yet, so it's created this nice buzz of curiosity. And speaking of story, this update also gives people a reason to re-experience some of the best moments again. The Great Circle nailed the adventure tone. The puzzles, the tomb exploration, the sense of discovery, it all felt authentic to the Indiana Jones spirit. Now, going back through that world with more upgrades and freedom makes the replay that much more fun. Plus, you'll probably catch details you missed the first time around. One thing I really like about MachineGames' approach here is that they didn't try to oversell it. They didn't announce a paid DLC or a massive content expansion. They just quietly said, hey, here's something cool for those who stuck with us. That kind of goodwill goes a long way in today's gaming world, especially when players are constantly bombarded with microtransactions and live service updates. This feels more old school, a straightforward content update that rewards players for finishing the game. Now, let's be honest. When you hear extended ending, it's natural to wonder if it's just a few extra seconds of footage or something more meaningful. Given how MachineGames writes their narratives, I think it'll be a little more substantial. Even if it's not a huge epilogue, it's probably going to give some extra emotional weight or context to Indy's final scene. Maybe we'll see what happens to one of the side characters or get a glimpse of Indy reflecting on his journey one last time. Whatever it is, it's going to add some nice closure for fans. And you know what? This also shows how studios can use updates to improve a story-driven game post-launch without changing the core experience. The Great Circle didn't really need fixing. It was already polished, but adding replayability and extending the narrative just makes it feel more complete. It's a good example for other studios who release narrative-focused titles. You don't always need a huge expansion pack. Sometimes small, meaningful updates can do the trick. Another nice touch is how they timed this update. Releasing it in October when gaming season is heating up gives it a second wave of visibility. You've got all these big titles dropping this time of year, but this update reminds people, hey, Indiana Jones still deserves a spot in your game library. And because it's free, there's really no barrier to jumping back in. So if you've already beaten the Great Circle, now's a great time to load up your save and start that New Game Plus. You'll keep your unlocked adventure books, you'll get that Cairo outfit, and you'll have something new waiting for you at the end. It's like rediscovering the story, but with the thrill of already being a master adventurer. And if you haven't played it yet, honestly, you're jumping in at the best time. You're getting the full, most complete version of the game with all the extra touches that weren't there at launch. The only small thing to keep in mind is that not every collectible or story item might carry over to New Game Plus, depending on how your save is structured. But for the most part, you're getting a seamless transition, and that's the best part. It respects your time. You're not grinding from scratch just to reach the fun parts again. Now, looking at the bigger picture, this update also raises some interesting possibilities. We know Bethesda and MachineGames like to keep fans guessing. An extended ending could easily set up a foundation for whatever's next in the Indiana Jones gaming universe. Maybe this is just a taste of more stories to come. Or maybe it's simply a heartfelt farewell to a great standalone adventure. Either way, it's a strong reminder that single-player cinematic games still matter, and studios are willing to support them long after launch. And honestly, I think updates like this are healthy for gaming. They show that developers are listening, that they're still thinking about the player experience after release. You can tell MachineGames wanted to make this anniversary update something that feels celebratory. Not just a list of fixes, but a meaningful addition to the game's legacy. I've got to give them credit for the timing too.